Ever get the feeling you've met someone before, but you can't quite place them?
Happens to the best of us.
Right. Well, that's kind of how I feel about Bodhidharma.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the image, right? That intense monk staring at a wall. It's iconic. But how much do we really know about the guy? That's what we're diving into today. Bodhidharma, the first patriarch of Zen in China. And let me tell you, separating fact from fiction is half the fun.
It's true. The details of his life are a bit of a puzzle. Not a ton of hard historical evidence to go on.
Which honestly makes it even more interesting, don't you think? Like we're piecing together clues from these ancient stories and legends.
Precisely. And those stories, even if not completely literal, tell us a lot about the impact of his teachings. The fact they've been passed down for generations speaks volumes.
Absolutely. So for those just joining us, let's start with the basics. Tradition says Bodhidharma was a South Indian prince living the good life until he has this kind of awakening, right?
Exactly.
Gives it all up, becomes a Buddhist monk, and then decides to head east to China to spread the Dharma.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Why China? He could have gone anywhere. It was more than geography. It was a meeting of minds, or at least that's how I see it. He wanted to bring something new, something that would resonate with the Chinese worldview. And this leads us to that iconic image of Bodhidharma meditating in a cave. 9 years.
9 years. I get fidgety after 9 minutes. Talk about commitment.
It's a powerful symbol of dedication, sure, but also this idea of going inward, facing your own mind to find enlightenment. That's at the heart of Zen practice.
And that right there, direct experience, that's where things get really interesting. Bodhidharma wasn't about blind faith, about following scriptures to the letter. He was about cutting through the noise and experiencing truth for yourself.
Absolutely. A special transmission outside the scriptures, as he supposedly said. No dependence upon words and letters. Direct pointing to the heart-mind. Seeing one's nature and becoming a Buddha.
Okay, stop you right there. That's powerful. But what does it even mean to find enlightenment like that through direct experience? How did he teach people to do that?
Well, at the core of his teachings are a few key concepts. And the first, the big one, is this idea of Buddha nature. We all have it. It's not something you get, it's something you already are. This potential for enlightenment is inside all of us.
So if we all have this Buddha nature, this potential, why aren't we all like walking around enlightened? What are we missing?
Practice. Specifically, meditation. And not just any meditation, Zazen. The sitting meditation Bodhidharma is often depicted doing.
Ah, back to the cave. But it can't just be about sitting still, right? There's got to be more to it.
You're right. Zazen, the way it's practiced in the Zen tradition, it's about cultivating this deep awareness of the present moment. It's about quieting the mind, observing your thoughts without judgment. It's about finding that stillness and clarity within.
Sounds both incredibly difficult and really intriguing.
You hit the nail on the head. It's a practice. Like anything worthwhile, it takes dedication, a willingness to face what comes up. But the potential benefits, those are huge. Reduce stress, better focus, a deeper understanding of yourself. These are just a few of the things that consistent meditation can bring.
And it all comes back to direct experience, doesn't it? We're not reading about enlightenment, we're cultivating it within.
Exactly. Bodhidharma's teachings, they weren't meant to be theoretical. They were meant to be lived, practiced, embodied.
Okay, so we've got this Buddha nature thing, this potential for enlightenment within. We've got Zazen as the practice. But there's one concept that still feels kind of mysterious, like mind-to-mind transmission. How can understanding be transmitted without words, without scriptures?
It's a head scratcher, right? Think about it this way. You ever have those moments, those aha moments, where you suddenly just get something?
Oh, totally. When you've been wrestling with an idea and then bam, it just clicks.
Exactly. It's not like someone told you and suddenly you understood. It's more like something shifted within. And mind-to-mind transmission, at least in the Zen tradition, it points to that kind of experience. It's a deeper understanding, an intuition, beyond language.
So less about a teacher directly telling you something, more about them creating the right conditions for you to realize it yourself.
You got it. And this is where those Zen koans come in, those riddles, stories that are designed to kind of short-circuit your logical mind.
Like, what is the sound of one hand clapping?
That's the one. It's not about finding the right answer. It's about the process of grappling with it. It's about shifting your perspective.
So it's almost like the kana in itself is a form of meditation, pushing you to look deeper.
You could say that. It's about cultivating that same focus, that awareness that you're trying to access through Zazen. But okay, we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, or maybe the monk in the training hall.
You're reading my mind. The martial arts connection. Did Bodhidharma really teach those legendary fighting skills at the Shaolin Temple?
It's a great story, right? And it really captures the imagination, this idea of physical and spiritual discipline being so intertwined.
Hmm.
But historically speaking, the link is, well, it's messy. The martial arts we know today, they evolved over centuries.
So maybe he wasn't doing flying kicks, but there's still this connection between the physical and the mental in his teachings.
Absolutely. Even if those stories are more legend than history, they point to something real. This mind-body connection is essential in Zen Buddhism. Bodhidharma, he understood that taking care of the physical, it could be a pathway to mental and spiritual clarity.
So whether it's zazen or a physical practice, it's all connected.
Right. And this brings us to Bodhidharma's legacy. His teachings, they didn't stay confined to that cave. They spread through China, made their way to Japan, Korea, Vietnam.
It's amazing the ripple effect, how one person's teachings can have such a reach.
It really is. And Zen Buddhism, it's more than just temples and monasteries now. It's art, it's architecture, it's those mindfulness practices that are becoming so popular today.
It's everywhere. Those serene rock gardens, the focus on minimalism, even the way we talk about being present, it all traces back to those principles Bodhidharma helped to establish. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, right? These ideas from this, semi-mythical figure meditating in a cave, and now they're woven into so much of our world.
The power of a good idea.
Uh-huh.
And it speaks to something, this desire for inner peace, this idea that we all have that potential within us. It's kind of universal.
It really is. It's a powerful message. This idea that enlightenment isn't just for, monks on a mountaintop. It's something we can all work towards through practice, through self-discovery.
That's the heart of it. And that's maybe the biggest takeaway from our Bodhidharma deep dive. It's not just about knowing the ideas and admiring the dedication. It's about taking that inspiration and, finding your own path to the inner understanding.
Stepping out of the theoretical and into the practical. Less talk, more zazen.
You got it. So what if you take one thing from this? One thing to try. Maybe it's 5 minutes of meditation. Maybe it's just paying attention to your breath for a few moments. Maybe it's approaching a difficult situation a little more mindfully. See what happens.
I love that. A little Bodhidharma challenge for everyone listening. We've thrown a lot of information at you today, but just pick one thing, one small step, and see where it leads you. You might surprise yourself.